everybody. How are you?
Good evening.
Are we in the right place?
I don't know, but something seems off.
Yeah, we're off tonight, but we're off most of the time.
Amen.
Hey, this is Pastor Will and
Jimmy.
and we have come to you this evening with the world famous Will and
Jimmy Show.
from beautiful downtown counseling room. What's the number of this building?
319.
319 East Sullivan Street. We're in a different place. As Jimmy told you last week, our studio is being made into a permanent space now. We've had the temporary studio Michelle,
Yep.
and that has been taken away, and that same space is being transformed as we speak into a permanent studio. So
Yeah, very nice.
we're kind of displaced tonight.
A little bit, but you
But
know.
we're glad to be over here. Miss Gloria usually sits at this desk and does counseling with folks.
Correct.
And if you ever need assistance with grief or just a counselor to talk to, she is a certified, bona fide, Christian-fied counselor.
And just an overall great
Good person,
She
yes.
is.
And she will do counseling with you, and there is no charge for that.
Right.
It's a ministry provided, and we use this space right here.
Right.
In this building, actually, it's multi-purpose. We're only 2 doors removed from our main church, but this is one of our buildings, and this section here is a counseling space. And then we have women's showers behind us. Behind that wall, we have some storage space. We have restrooms. We have washing machines. A little bit of everything, right?
Multi-purpose building.
Multi-purpose,
for sure.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Lots goes on in this other building.
yes. And this is just the downstairs of this building. But anyway, so Jimmy,
Yeah.
let us know what's going on.
Wow, so much is going on. Like you mentioned, our new studio is being built, and we hope to be with you next week
Good.
from there. But you know, good things always take time. Once you
Yes.
start something, you find something else that has to be done. But we're working on that. But we got several big events coming up here over the next few weeks. Some very new things that we've never
Yes,
done before.
yes.
So I guess that's a good place for us to start. So first would be next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, which is February the 20th
Correct.
already. We are having a hearing screening, a free
What'd you
hearing-
say?
Hearing screening. Hearing.
Here,
Hearing.
down to
Hearing.
the one down to courthouse. No, okay.
Not that hearing.
Okay,
Not yet.
okay. Enough fun.
So, yeah, hearing, and he's going to be the first one to get his hearing checked. But that is going to be 9 to 12, Thursday, February the 20th. And this is free to anyone who is in need. And you can get your screening done, and if there is a need for hearing aids or some type of device, arrangements are going to be worked on to get those taken care of for you. So
Yes,
that is for anyone. No appointment is required this time around.
and no money.
And no money, no insurance. And this is the first time we've done something like this. So this is just kind of a trial run to see how it's going to go. But we are prepared to do this regularly, maybe monthly, every other month, just depending on what the
Right.
need is. So
So if you're having
kinda-
trouble hearing Jimmy tonight, or me, what's
go.
that hearing aid commercial say? He drops it in the water and he says, "You did it again."
no, I
Anyway,
haven't seen that one, but the one where the "I love you."
oh
Can you
yeah,
just
that's a
say
good
that
one.
again?
Yeah,
I love
that's a
you.
good one. Yeah, that gentleman, that commercial. We were having a funeral here, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It was a large crowd, and this gentleman looked so familiar to me, dressed in a suit and tie. And of course, that's the first signal to us that they're not from Shades of Grace, because we don't dress up.
Right.
Even for funerals, we're casual. That's just who we are. And because we're in the street community and downtown, and that's just our culture here. But this gentleman was dressed up so nice, and I thought he's either a Philadelphia lawyer or a funeral director. But I knew he wasn't with the funeral that we were having. And then Jim, you told me later who he was.
Yeah. It was, and his wife
Yeah.
from that
Was
commercial.
she here too?
was here too. Yeah.
Okay.
So we had some local celebrities
Yeah.
here at Shades of Grace.
Yeah.
And I'm sure most of you, if you're local, you'll know what we're talking about. The hearing aid commercial where
She
they-
says, honey, I love you.
Yeah.
And he'll say, can you tell me that again?
Yeah. So
But you know,
We're here.
hey, that is a good message.
Yeah.
You know, Valentine's is coming up.
yeah,
We need to
that's this Friday.
tell people
Yeah.
we love them.
That's true.
Yep,
And you want them to be able to hear you. So
that's right. Yeah. So be sure and go out and get your Valentine before Friday. And if you're running short, get you a crayon and a piece of paper and make one.
do something.
Yeah,
Do
do
something.
something.
Do
It's the
something.
thought that counts.
Right. It is. It's not the amount of money you spend.
Right.
It's just the thought.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's coming up, and
Yeah.
then so next would be our Thursday movie matinee.
Yes. I'm excited about that.
So many years this has been in the works. We've talked about it on our show the last couple of weeks.
Mhm.
So it's now reality. Thursday, February the 27th, we're going to be playing The Forge. I
I
have
know
not seen-
Stephen, who's doing the carpentry work,
Uh-huh.
told me, I believe it was he told me, or Ethan told me, that they heard that as a great movie.
So earlier today on our Facebook page, I made that announcement, and I also included a link to YouTube where you can watch the trailer of the
Okay.
film if you want to know what it's about. It's about a 2.5 minute little sample of what the film is like. But look, I've heard nothing but great things about it. It looks like it's a very powerful film.
Okay.
Anything that they have made before, I
Very
think-
family friendly. That's
Very.
all we'll do at Shades of Grace.
Correct.
Right.
So that is, and the film movie will start right at 2:00.
Okay.
So if you want to come early, I hear we may have some popcorn and snacks.
We're going to have some
Early.
actual theater popcorn.
Right. So
And we're going to have some drinks and maybe some chef's pizza. You know, somebody texted us that would be nice. And
yeah.
we don't get to do a lot for some of our community. We do a lot every day. We're serving about 125 to 130 bag lunches right now every day. But who knows who is going to come to the, to the parade, but to the matinee.
Yeah.
And we do want to treat you nice. There's no cost for this. It's a free matinee, but what's a movie without popcorn
Right.
and without a good drink
That's right.
or a slice of pizza?
Right.
So
That's it.
come on out and invite a friend. We've got 3 big screens. How big are they?
86-inch screens.
We got 3 86-inch screens.
Take your pick
Yeah.
on which one you watch. I'm excited.
gonna
I'm
be good.
looking forward
Yes.
to it. Very much looking forward to it. And this is going to be a regular thing too. We're going to do this ever so often. And
Right.
you know, the days are getting longer. The weather was kind of getting warmer, but spring is not far away.
Not far away.
It's not far away. So join us for that movie, The Forge, and go today. Once our show's over tonight, go take a look at that post and watch that video and see what you think about the movie.
All right.
And if you're not able to be with us, we'd still love for you to watch that movie. I think it's a great story. It's very inspirational. Get your Kleenexes ready.
Oh, is that good?
Yeah. Get
Can
your,
you tell us a little bit of what it's about? Just the central theme of it.
It's about a young boy who is, I think he's raised by his mother, who is really trying to find himself, but he starts going down the wrong road. And his mother kind of gives him an ultimatum, what you're either going to have to do this or you're going to have to do this. And he tries to get a job at a gym, like a fitness center. And he ends up meeting the owner of the fitness center. He kind of takes him under his wing. So that's kind of what
Okay.
happens. And
hopefully there's a happy ending.
I'm sure there is. But
We don't see a whole lot of happy endings in our stories here at Shades of Grace. But, we do have some.
We do.
I had one today.
We've had a couple today.
Do you believe there's a real person named Harley Davidson? We've known him for 10 years.
Yeah.
But he actually came by to visit me today. And he was working in the area. Almost swallowed my coffee.
Oh, no.
But he said he was in the area, had a few minutes, ended up taking about an hour or longer. But we hadn't seen this young man maybe once or twice in the last 6 years. But we first met him when he was on the streets of Kingsport.
Right.
And he was a child who had been pretty much raised in all kinds of foster care, adopted situations. He was a product of Holston Home for Children in Greenville, and ended up in the streets of Kingsport. But he's got his life together, and he was telling me about it. He's married. He's got a little house that he and his wife are hoping to buy, and wanting to get his car paid for, and just has dreams like we all do. And he told me, I believe that he said he's 28 now, 28 years
Wow.
old.
28.
But anyway, it was good that he stopped by, and he showed me pictures of different things. But as he got ready to leave, he came over and stooped down and gave me a great big hug. And then he came to you
Amen.
and gave you a hug.
Sure did.
And that's what we're talking about, relationships last Wednesday in the Will and Jimmy show. There's a good example, because he said, when I was here, he said, I was just out to do what I could do and get what I could get, and you all were just somebody else that I could get from. But he said, and he told me, they said, remember those stupid clothes I used to wear? He said, why didn't you tell me that? like I'm his daddy or something. I said, some things are better left unsaid and let the person just decide for themselves what they need to do.
True.
But
Yeah.
we could tell that this young man was so happy, sharing some of the memories of Shades of Grace in years ago.
And happy for
Yes.
us to see
Yes,
how far he's come, how much he's matured.
right.
A fine young man he has
Yes, he
become,
has.
that's for sure.
And he's working.
Um,
And so,
Oh,
that's
he's-
just an
he's
example.
almost unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Really. He's grown up so much
Yeah.
since that time. But
When he was here, he would maybe be on a skateboard or running along and just be, as he said, being stupid. But I remember when he used to sing in the services. Remember they'd get up and sing in church
Yeah.
and all that. He was just trying to find his way in life. But thankfully, it was a long journey, but a fruitful one. So keep him in your prayers.
Yes.
But that's just one example. And those things happen a lot more than maybe we stop to consider.
And some, we don't know the end result.
Right.
We do as much as we can up to a certain point, and then you just don't know. We pray and hope that all is good, but we just never know.
Right.
And then sometimes they come back.
And we don't need to know.
Right, we don't. Right, that's right. That's right. But earlier today, I'll tell a story about a birth certificate that happened. Someone came in and needed it in a hurry. And I always ask, what state were you born in? And each state takes a different amount of time. And one of the states that takes the longest is New York. I've worked with folks before, and a birth certificate takes 9 months for it to arrive.
Wow.
Well, guess what state he was born in?
New York.
New York. And I didn't want to tell him that just yet, but we put everything in and entered his information. And when the date came, it said it would be here on February the 13th.
Wow. Amazing. A month.
A day.
Oh, February.
February.
Oh, February 13th.
A day.
Seriously.
So and I got email confirmation today
Wow.
that it is already shipped out by UPS and will be here tomorrow.
Wow. Did you all do any praying before you sent that up?
We didn't, but he must have known.
Wow.
And this is kind of a dire straits. He needs it very fast. And he's going to get it very fast.
Well, did you tell him later what it normally is?
I did. I shared that with him. I said, when you said New York, I said, I felt that feeling in my stomach. I was like, oh no, because there's been a few that we've done, and it did take like 6. One took 9 months. I think 6 months was the average, but still, and that's kind of square one. That's where you have to start, is with that birth certificate. But it will be here, and I think the reason this one was different, he was from a different area. There's 3 sections of New York that process birth certificates, and he was in section 1. He was from Yonkers, New York, and that one is operated by a completely different agency, and I guess they're just a little quicker, or a lot quicker. So
Well, good.
that was really good. And then we did a birth certificate last week for a gentleman who needed this to get his ID to start a job. He's already been hired, but he just has to have at least the state ID to get. Or I'm sorry, he has to have the state ID to be employed, and he needed his birth certificate to get that. And I think it said like March the 27th or something like that for his estimated delivery day. We came in last week. And he came in today. He said, "Hey, I hear you all have showers. Can I take a shower?" And I said, "Actually, yeah. And while you're here, I got something for you." So he showered quickly, went over to the clothing closet, got a really nice looking shirt because he was going to go have his picture made for his ID today.
Well, good.
He had somebody waiting on him in the truck that was taking him there right now. So great things do happen like this.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
You know.
We're very grateful for that.
We sometimes, I think it's human nature to ponder on the negative things a lot, you know, the little petty things, the
Right.
little small things, the things that happen that we can't control and can't change. But the fact of the matter is, the good always outweighs the
Sure.
bad, always. And these stories, we could tell stories, we could sit here for
All night.
hours.
Yeah, we
We
could.
could sit here for the rest of the evening and tell examples like this of these things that have happened here at Shades of Grace
Yes.
over the years.
All right.
And you know, in reality, it's a kind of a negative thing, but this is the reality. Just today, I came in and told you earlier, today must have been the cutoff cycle for a lot of
Oh my. Yes.
electric customers, because I think I got 6, maybe even 7 calls from folks today that their electricity service had been disconnected this morning.
Wow.
And
And it's a cold, very, very cold, freezing rain. And this is a very bad day to have your power turned off. When you think about it, take a minute and thank God if you have a warm place and that God has enabled you to be able to work and to make a way to have a safe place to be. I mean, we
Right.
take so much for granted.
We do. And the bills today ranged anywhere, I think the minimum one I heard was $200 all the way up to $900 that is going to have to be paid for that service to be restored. You know, when it gets to that point, and I really wish, you know, a lot of people would reach out to us earlier.
Yeah.
But, you know, I get it. A lot of people don't like to ask for help. And they kind of wait to that last minute, but you know it's always easier to help on the front end instead of the back
Because
end.
you're always going to have to pay that late charge.
You
Or
usually
just reconnect.
reconnect, and
Yeah.
you have to pay it current.
Yeah.
Most of the time, so that you know.
Well-
Goodness.
Troubles on every hand.
But we are able to help with some of those,
Yes.
and we're able to, you know, we give to KCMC each month
Yes,
to
we
be
do.
able to help, and then sometimes we're even able to help a little bit on this end if it needs to be. So
And you all make that possible. KCMC, tell them what that is.
that is the Kingsport Community Ministry Center.
Yes. And they will pay for utilities, rent if there is an eviction
Correct.
notice.
Yes.
And so we give a very sizable amount to that. We're one of the leading churches as far as the amount of money given to them each month.
Correct.
And so, you know, that's one way we can help.
Yep. And they do a great job of meeting with the people, getting their information, and you know helping as much as they can. But you know, so many people in need
Yes.
right now. I mean, like I said, just today, 6 people disconnects. Just imagine, add all those up, how much that would be to get all those taken care of in one day.
And that's just one little segment of time.
Half of a day
Yeah.
between say 8:30 and 12 o'clock today.
Wow.
6 calls.
Yeah.
So lots of need out there.
Yes, there is. But the Bible says God's grace is sufficient. And there is a phrase that I've used a lot lately that I found in the New Testament, which is called grace upon grace. And we all need grace, and we need to offer grace to those around us. But sometimes in some situations, we need grace upon grace
Amen.
and mercy upon mercy. We need a double dose.
We all do.
Yeah.
We all do.
Jimmy, tell them
Yes.
about our worship service this past Saturday.
Well, somebody came in earlier today and they couldn't be here Saturday morning
Right.
because they had a work schedule thing, and mentioned that they watched it on Sunday, and what a wonderful service it was.
Yes.
Everything was great. The music was good.
It was.
And-
I want to thank Martha for
Mhm.
sharing.
Thank you,
And I don't know if Landon had rehearsed with her or not, but they did a great job.
Yeah, they did really
And
good.
she did that in honor of her late father's birthday. And it was nice how she said, I want to thank all of you for being my friends.
Yep.
And so that's true. And then our friend Mick let us have a few minutes of old time camp meeting with that guitar. And I
Yes,
want to
he
appreciate
did.
him. I love him.
Yes,
He's
I love him.
just
He's
a
great.
great guy.
He sure is.
And then, of course, Landon. But, in all three of these persons, each one is different. Each one has a different. Wouldn't it be a
Yes.
boring world if everybody was alike?
right.
We'd get tired of
Right.
it.
We would.
Right.
We would.
Thank
Yes.
goodness there's lots of preachers a whole lot different than me. There's a lot of church administrators. We're all different. We have gifts that no one else has, but we have to stay in our lane,
Right.
as we say.
We talk about that a
Yeah.
lot, and how important that is.
Yeah.
If everybody does their part, and only their part, it all works together. It really,
Right.
But when you start crossing those dotted lines, and even with good intention,
Right.
no bad intention, but
Right.
a lot of times that just creates havoc and chaos.
It does.
It gets the system, the machine doesn't quite work like it should.
Right.
It doesn't run like
And here we're kind of crossing over into the daily ministry that goes on here all through the week
Yeah.
at Shades of Grace as well. But this, Ethan, he's been worshiping here now a good 6 months or
Oh, yeah.
longer,
Maybe longer.
maybe a year, and he's 22 years old, and but an old soul. And really, when you talk with him and watch him work, much more than 22 years, but just a young guy. And he was talking about just being here working on this sound room that we're doing at a time when he's normally here for Saturday morning worship. He says there's so much goes on here that I had no idea. He didn't know what goes on in the weekdays,
Well, that's true.
and it's true.
Yeah, that's very true. He's getting a good dose of
Yeah.
of the ministry. As you
Right.
always say, there's more ministry takes place here Monday through Friday.
Well, he mentioned
That's
that to
true.
me. He said,
Did he? Yeah.
he said, it seems to me that there's a whole lot more people and a whole lot more needs being addressed Monday through Friday than there is when I'm here on Saturday. I said, you got it. That's absolutely the way it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And on a cold, today's a very cold, rainy day. We've got another couple of those looks like ahead of us.
Yeah.
The needs started early this morning. There were people coming to the door before we even opened this morning. They were just soaked from head to toe.
Right.
That had been out all night long. I asked one lady, where did you sleep last night? And she said, up near one of the churches, I found a little overhang. And she said, until somebody woke me up at 7 o'clock this
Oh.
morning. You know who it was that woke her up? It was an officer.
Okay.
But thankfully, everything was okay. They just said, hey, you probably
Yeah.
need to move along
Right.
before, anything else happens. But she was soaked from head to toe. Looked like where maybe she'd been sleeping with heavy rain like this, the water puddles up and her legs were just soaked. So we were able to get that fixed, taken care of real quick. And
Well, just before we came over here to record, we had a couple of friends came in, a gentleman and a lady that we've known for years. Both are homeless and just soaking wet.
Mhm.
And she said, do you have any gloves? And gave them some gloves and warm socks. And, it's rough. We're so close to spring, but yet we're still in the throes of winter.
Mhm.
And it's a very cold, icy rain. So, which will chill you to the bone.
And a little teaser we got last week of the near 70-degree temperatures,
Right.
A lot, you think about this, like a lot of the people who are on the streets, they don't have the access to follow the weather like we do.
Right,
Many times, what day of the week is it?
right,
What time is it?
right.
No clue as
concept
to
of-
what that is. So therefore, they really don't know.
And a lot of them, you've been keeping the screens on the Weather Channel over the last few days, and a lot of them will come in maybe to use the facilities or to get a shower or whatever, and they'll pause and kind of get fixated on the screen, and they'll say, I didn't know. Even when the hurricane happened back in September, people came in and said, we didn't know there was a hurricane. Sometimes they just don't know.
You're right. That was the North Carolina was on the Weather Channel
Right.
that day,
Right.
and
East Tennessee.
somebody asked me
Yes.
where is how close to us are we, to that,
Right.
and I explained it. I said that happens here,
And that was one county over. That was
Yeah.
Washington County, Tennessee, where I live, was on the national news. And there's still, from what I heard, one lady, an older lady, who has not yet been recovered from the September flood. And I don't know that family, but they're from the county, the nearby town that I live in. And if that is the case, can you imagine the heartache and the sadness of not knowing?
No.
And so we always need to pray, but that's going on at any moment of time, everywhere in our world. We got to love our neighbor and pray for one another.
It's just a reminder that it can happen here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't think about a hurricane happening
Right.
in the mountains, but it can happen.
But it
here.
sure did.
Last week, what was it, Thursday or Friday night? I think everybody got that tornado warning
Mm-hmm.
about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and sure enough, I got it. It said tornado radar indicated in Colonial Heights.
Right.
Boy, that's a reality check.
Yeah.
Real quick. And it has happened here
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
It is, but thankfully it moved through really quick, and I don't think there was any significant damage in our area.
But 2 people did lose their lives in Morgan
In
County,
Morgan, right,
which is not that far away.
Yeah,
And several people were injured. I think it was a mother and child
it was.
who died.
Yeah.
But you don't know what a day will bring forth.
So think
So-
about that. Like we were talking, we take so many things for granted. These
Right.
communication is one.
Yes.
I knew the weather we were experiencing, maybe some storms, but I had no idea tornado force storms.
Right.
And we got that warning, and that gave us the time to kind of make a plan real quick in case we needed to. But what if you're on the street, you don't have that warning? I mean,
Right.
just imagine, just think like, somebody did come here from North Carolina that was homeless when that hurricane hit. Do you remember?
I do
The
remember.
tall guy with long hair, and he's still around,
Is it?
but he was homeless in that area when that happened.
And
So
his what place he had to call his own spot got washed away.
Gone, right.
So
and all the resources, places that provided food and assistance for him, that was all halted
All gone.
and gone. So he made it this way, and now he's kind of become a resident of Kingsport.
okay.
And kind of getting things together. But gosh, I mean, can you just imagine? And I'm sure he was one of many. He's just the one that we have met here in
Right.
Kingsport that were displaced, that were homeless, that had nothing. I mean, I know a lot of people lost everything, but what if you had nothing to lose?
Well, that's it.
and nothing to go back to.
You- And in bottom line, either one ends up with nothing,
Right,
and nothing's less nothing is nothing. So
right.
it's hard. It really is.
But we are here
Yeah.
to do what we can do
Yeah.
every day, and we never know what a day is going to bring. We
Right.
never know what need is going to come to the door. But
That's
we do.
exactly
I mean,
right.
I can firmly say we try. And sometimes we have success. Sometimes somebody will call or come in and there'll be a need, and I just don't know what to do.
Right.
I don't even know where to start. We can always pray, and we do pray for these folks.
Yes.
But sometimes these needs are just so much. Like I said, I don't know what to say. And then sometimes the best thing to do is not say anything.
It's just
and
listen.
Just sit and listen. That is a key thing, in my opinion, to building these relationships is just to listen.
Right.
Listen.
And like the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. Sometimes if we're just still and listen to the heart of the person who's trying to talk, God may be talking to us through them and we'll know the answer.
Right.
But I'm with you. Sometimes there just seems to be no earthly answer. I mean, sometimes there are no answers that we know about, but yet we know that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. So we just got to trust the Lord to make it okay.
We had someone yesterday who came for some assistance because she had lost her registered service animal in a domestic
Yes.
dispute.
Did she ever hear anymore?
No, that's a gray area getting help with that. But we've put her in touch with an agency it's in a different county, a neighboring county, that could possibly help her with this if she'll follow through. But honestly, I think she's kind of afraid to follow
Right.
through because she thinks that if she maybe rocks the boat too much that something may happen to the animal if
Right.
it hasn't already.
Right.
And that's the realities. And I think she said she'd had this service animal for 8 years.
Well,
So she's really struggling not having that animal.
true.
You know, be just like a child.
Yeah.
Just you know, I mean, that's when that's all you got. That's all you
That's
got.
what you've got.
You know,
That's your comfort.
right? So again, like you know, I didn't know what to, when she came in, and that's probably a first time dealing with a situation like that for me anyway, and explained to me how this happened, and but did a little Google searching and mind searching. I said, hey, let's try this. So we found an option, but there's a lot of legal things that have to take place in there too. So,
Right.
but we did what we could do,
And that's all we can do.
I hope maybe today. Haven't seen her today,
Right.
so hopefully maybe she found some
That's good.
sort of answer because she was very concerned about her animal. So, yeah,
Well, it's just another day at Shades of Grace.
it is. It feels odd though, doesn't it?
It
Being
does,
over here,
yeah,
it
it does,
feels so
yeah.
strange. We're so used to being,
Yeah.
and we're looking, you know, at the screen, and
Right.
it just. I'm like, where are we?
Yeah.
But
It's a different feel. But I'm excited about getting in the new studio.
I am too.
By the way, we are going to officially christen that Studio Michelle
Mhm.
in honor of our friend Michelle. That was her space, and so it's going to remain that.
Right.
Maybe one of these days, a long time from now, there'll be a spot named after you.
It may be. What spot would it be?
Just a greasy spot on the floor.
Did you hear that?
Oh,
Yeah. But you know, I think I see a little some type of plaque that says Studio Michelle, maybe even a little picture on
maybe
it
a
or
picture.
something. You know.
Yeah.
For you know, Pastor Michelle had a birthday here recently,
Yes, you did.
and I went back and found a funny picture of her years ago. She had a really old cell phone. I mean, a really old cell phone. It would barely even move when you would touch it. And finally talked her into going and getting a new phone, and she was so excited about that new phone. And I took a picture of her with the new phone, but the wind was blowing outside when I took that picture, and her hair had blown all the way up. And of course, I saved that picture. But I took that picture and put a little birthday hat on it, and some birthday balloons, and sent it to her. She didn't share that publicly, though. No, she kept that
I
one
didn't
to
see
herself.
that one.
Yeah, she didn't. She didn't let that one go public. But
Yeah.
I still have the photo.
Okay, well, yeah, Michelle was a faithful part of the ministry here
Yes.
for, gosh, 8 years, I guess.
Right.
And so she was missed, and we think about you. You know who else I miss an awful lot?
Who's that?
Billy Bird.
I thought that's what you were going to
Yeah,
say.
Billy Bird. And Miss Bell, I know you're watching us right now. You know, Bell never misses.
Never.
She
No.
prays for us,
Yep.
and she's knitting those little hearts, those little prayer hearts.
How
But we
many,
think about Billy.
how many of those would you estimate we've
Oh.
went through?
Oh, hundreds.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just in the last, I mean, people ask for those
Yeah, they do.
so often and really appreciate those. And I know that, like, there's been times when people we've been working with have got housing, have got their own apartment. We've prayed over those and given them. And I remember one family, a mother and 3 children. You may know who I'm talking about. But they were living in Cloud Apartments, Reedy Point, and there was a police standoff in her building. There was somebody wanted by the U.S. Marshals, and her 3 small children were in that same building where the standoff was, and they had to experience that.
Yeah.
And she said, whatever it takes, I'm going to get out of this building. I've got to do better for my children. And we were able to help her do that.
Good.
And got into a very much nicer apartment that she could afford. But anyway, we gave her one of those when she was here one day. And then later on, a group of us were taking some furniture over to her. And I didn't even mention it, but I noticed that was laying on the TV stand right in front of the TV, right there in the middle of the little living room. So,
Okay, there you go, Miss
Miss
Bell. Your little gifts are working and encouraging and giving people hope.
Right.
And I know she puts a prayer in each one of them.
Yes. Yep. Well, Pastor Will, I've got some questions for
All
you.
right,
if you're
let's
ready
have
for
it.
some of those.
Let's let it roll and see how we do.
All right, I've got 4 for you,
Okay.
and let's start with these. These are courtesy of our friends in Canada. And our first topic, these 2 are biblical riddles.
All right.
Okay? Number 1, I am the animal that spoke to a prophet. What animal am I? I know a few of these.
I know a whole bunch of them. Actually, I've got a couple of them who live across the fence.
Don't talk about your neighbors like that.
These don't live in a house. They live across the fence in the field. And they are, we will call them donkeys.
No, well, that's the correct answer. And now, for a bonus point, whose donkey was it?
Well, he was a prophet, and his name was Baal. Balaam, I'm sorry, Balaam.
That's it.
Balaam prophet.
Okay. All right, biblical riddle number 2. This is an easy one. I am the land promised to Abraham and his descendants. What land am I?
Is it the title or
The city, the town, city.
to Abraham and his descendants
And
forever? Would
he
have
turned the
to
water into wine.
would have to be the little Cana town.
That's it. That's it.
Then that little Cana town. Remember that Cana town?
Yeah, we've listened. We've played that several times.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 3. This is the Scripture speaks. So who said this Scripture? Hast thou not poured me out as milk and curdled me like cheese? Who said that?
Wow. Well,
A lot of suffering in this man's life.
Job.
That'd be Job. That's it. Hast thou not poured me out as milk and curdled me like cheese?
Wow. That's pretty rough. I'd say that's yeah.
All right, and the final question. The book of Lamentations was written by the prophet Isaiah. Is that true or false?
Lamentations was not written by Isaiah.
That is correct. Who was it written by?
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. Man.
The bullfrog. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Reckon you get shut down if we tried to play that one?
Oh, I'm sure we would. Trivia question. Who sang that song?
Come on. Somebody tell us. Give me a hint.
3.
Dogs.
Close enough.
Three Dog Night.
3 Dog Night. Yeah. 3 Dog Night was either in Greenville or is coming to Greenville
Okay.
here pretty soon.
Wow.
The one person that's still alive is they're still playing shows.
Wow.
It'd be interesting.
So do they have someone else taking part?
Yeah. But
It's not a solo act.
No, there's only one there was 3 of them, but there's
Do
only
they still sound like the old ones?
I'm assuming they probably
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, 2 of them are still alive. One of them's just in real bad health. He can't tour.
Okay.
But good band. They had a lot of good songs
Yeah,
there.
Three Dog Night.
Yeah.
Name another one now, Jimmy.
For
From,
what?
from Three Dog.
Three Dog Night. Just an old-fashioned love song.
That's a good one.
Never Been to Spain.
That's a good one.
Let's see. Jeremiah's a bullfrog.
How many of those you think Landon can play?
I'd say he's probably not heard of one of them. I think you mentioned Jeremiah. The name of that song was "Joy to the World,"
Joy to the World.
written by Hoyt Axton. You remember Hoyt Axton? He wrote that song. Yeah, Landon doesn't know me too many of those songs.
Yeah.
He knows his type of music, and boy, does he know it
Yes,
well.
he does.
Because there's not many times that you throw one out there that he doesn't get it.
Well, Saturday, I caught him off guard. He didn't know. I had already said, I will bet you money that he would get it right.
Yeah.
So I still owe Landon one. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes.
The one from a few weeks ago that you had him do, was it the Tears I Died For? Was that the name of that song?
For those,
For those
come
tears.
to the water,
Yeah.
Jesus. I come to
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably, and this is saying a lot, I've heard Landon do a lot of songs, but that's probably my favorite song that I have ever heard him do. So Landon, if you're watching, we would really like to hear that again. That
All
was
right.
such a great song. And I'm not the only one that said it. Several people mentioned that too. I had never heard that song.
Well, he'd never heard it I just felt like it would go so well somehow with the message. And when he Googled it and he sent me a copy, he says, "This what you're talking about?" I said,
That
"Yeah,"
was it.
but he never heard it. But yeah, that's a beautiful song.
He nailed that
And
song.
you know, I think that he and Quinn would do well on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Wouldn't they?
yep. We've been missing Quinn. Quinn, we hope
Yeah,
to see you
you
soon.
need to get on back up here when you can. Matter of fact, Lyndon told me earlier today that he's going to see if Quinn may be able to be here Saturday
Okay,
to sing.
very good.
I appreciate Landon because he picks out the people to do the music and calls them and, you know, works with them if they need it. And that's one thing about Shades of Grace. We're not about just a one-man band.
Right.
We're about the kingdom of God and the body of Christ. And there's nobody better than Landon to help facilitate that. He's the easiest person to work
Oh,
with.
yeah, absolutely.
And not in a non-threatening environment. And but I trust him, and he does a good job.
He has a way of calming
Yeah,
people who maybe we've had a lot of folks here. This is the first time they've ever sung at a service out
Right.
in public, you know, short of singing in their house. And when they come in and maybe do a practice earlier in the week before Saturday, you see their nerves,
Right.
you know, and then
sets them at ease.
But Landon just calms that. It's so easy.
Yes.
It just flows, and everything just comes together so great.
Right.
And I tell you, we're blessed to have
Yes,
him.
we are.
And we have a lot talent.
Well,
in
let's
this
see.
church.
We've got Amy played the piano, and did I hear that Becky Fugit plays the piano? Did I hear that? You know, she
Wow.
sang a week ago, but did I hear that she plays the piano?
Man, I know Amy, her daughter,
And her
plays,
daughter does.
But
Yeah,
Becky,
we're finding out some of
Uh-oh.
these secrets here.
but Becky did a fantastic
Yes.
song, "Be Still."
Oh yeah,
that was
Beautiful.
That was great. That's
yes.
if I'm not mistaken, I think that's an old Stephen Curtis Chapman song. Could be wrong on that one.
Well, it
but
was a good one.
Becky, if you're watching, correct me on that. But
Becky's
I'm
in
pretty
Knoxville this week, I believe,
Sure. Right, she's
with
good.
her sister.
Yes.
So hey, Knoxvillians, we miss you.
We do miss you.
Yeah.
Yes, and I don't remember signing that vacation form.
Well, if Nita comes along, she may fire
She
her.
might.
That's a little funny story. We got time to tell it.
Let's tell it. Absolutely, yeah.
We
This
have
will
a
be great.
precious friend who lives in the streets most of the time. She draws a check, but she'll get about 2/3 of the month paid for in a motel with the money that she draws. And then the other third of the month, she's sleeping out wherever she can. And she struggles so much. But one of the kindest and sweetest people, when she's on her medicine and having a good day, she's such a sweet and loving person.
She is.
Other days, when she's having a bad day, when it's hot, it's hot. When it's not, it's not.
Yeah.
But one day, what did she
Yeah.
tell you?
Well, she wanted to speak to you, and I told her that you were on vacation that week. I said, "I'm sorry, Nita, he's on vacation this week." And she said, "I did not approve any vacations. I did not send that memo,
I did not
and I
authorize
did
that.
not authorize it."
Well, she told me the same thing about you. She said, I did not authorize Jimmy to be away today. I did not authorize it, and I think he will be fired. So,
And you know, I bet more people call here and ask about her
they
than
do.
any other person
Yes.
in our community. And our friend Michael from Hunger First,
Yes.
he was doing
Hey, Michael.
he was doing a Facebook Live the other night. I caught a few minutes of it, and someone had asked about her,
Yeah.
and they spoke about our friend. And
Well-
many local businesses know her, and she's very recognizable.
Yes.
You know, and most, as you said, most of the time she is the kindest, sweetest person. But we've learned that on those bad, hey, you know what? I have bad days.
Yeah.
You know, we all do.
Yeah.
But on those,
Some of us are better at covering them up.
right, on those days when she's having the bad days, we just kind of let her be, get
Yeah.
whatever it is that she may need at the time, meet those needs, and just let her be on her
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
But we always pray for her, and we don't see her as much as we used to, which I think that's maybe a good thing because she's staying more, especially through the winter.
And
She stays-
often when we don't see her, then she will call, or the hospital will call, either Woodridge or one of the other psychiatric hospitals in the area will call, and you know she's there.
Yep. You know why they call here?
We are her family. We are her address.
We are her emergency contact.
Yes.
You are her emergency contact on many,
Yeah, you don't know how many times, Jimmy, I really couldn't count the times that we've gotten calls either from the police department or the funeral homes that someone has passed away with a Shades of Grace card in their possession and the name Pastor Will as their emergency contact. And, that saddens me so much. But on the other hand, it makes me glad that they care to trust me and trust us to be able to put our name there.
Yeah.
And I would never want to ever in any way disappoint them.
No.
But
No.
can you just think of the ones that it's happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened
Many.
to nobody.
Right.
And even on most of our worst days, when everything is going, somebody gave me a book. Actually, it's Gloria that counsels from this desk.
Gloria
She,
Davies.
She gave me a book a few weeks ago that is next in line for me to tear into, and it's called "What to Do on the Worst Day of Your Life."
Wow.
And I thought, I could use that for me personally. I could also use that for people.
Sure.
How many people come to us when they're having the worst day of their
Yeah.
life?
And who do we go to when we're having the worst day?
Right.
But we all need something.
But that's what I was going to say. But even on the worst day of our lives, most of us have at least someone
Right.
that we can,
And think of
reach
having
out
no
to.
one.
Right.
Think of having no one.
Right. But the thing is, I guess they do have someone right here. That's
Yeah.
why we're here.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
And
Thank
they-
God for that.
Sometimes in their state of anguish and anger and grief and uncertainty, they'll reach out and they'll lash out and they'll curse us. I have literally been cursed with words that I'd never heard before. Haven't you?
Yes.
We've all been cursed here in the streets. But you know what? I have always heard it said that even if you've got someone you love or you've got a good friend, that oftentimes you will lash out to the person you know the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they know
Yeah,
you
that's
and
true.
they'll tolerate it and they understand. And maybe when we get cursed, that's because they feel like we can take it and that they trust us to bear that,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you've never spent a day at Shades of Grace, you may feel like this is all a little bit unusual, but believe you me, it's everyday life.
I was just telling a story to our friends from Cross Connection. Were here with us this
Yeah.
morning, serving our meals and preparing. And a gentleman had come to the door, and they asked kind of about him. And I said at one point in time he wouldn't speak to me for almost a year without cursing me out.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day,
I bet I know him
you
myself.
know exactly who it is. And then one, and I don't know.
I
what-
got pissed before you did.
Yeah, you did. It was my turn.
Yeah.
But I don't think I did anything. It
No,
just,
no.
just those things happen. But,
Yeah.
one day he came to me and he said, "I need to talk to you." And I was like, "Uh-oh." And he just put his hand out. And everything has been fine since that moment. And then a few days later, he came and he said, "I want to give you something." And he gave me these two old rusted pocket knives.
Yeah. Mhm.
Two old pocket knives. And every so often, he'll be sitting at my desk. And just a few weeks ago, we were sitting there working on a doctor's appointment. And I opened the drawer and I said, "Hey, look here." And I put those. He said, "Them nice knives." And I said, "I know they are. That's why I'm keeping them."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you take the good with the bad and the bad with the good.
I suppose I've probably in 10 years had 3 or 4 of those cursing episodes.
Yeah.
And then it'll take him sometimes 6 or 8 months of walking on the other side of the street and ignoring me or coming to Shades when I'm not there. But then he'll come with his hand out. And he said, "You know what? You've been better to me than anybody else. And I want you to forgive me for the way I've acted."
And here a few months ago, he was in the hospital for a good little extended time.
Yes.
And he lives with his elderly mother.
Yeah.
And he called here. He was worried he couldn't get her to answer the phone. So he called us
Yeah. I
to see
remember
if somebody could go by and just check on her, just
Yeah.
make sure she was okay. I just happened to be the one out running errands that morning. I stopped by, and she was so welcoming
Yeah.
to see me there.
Yes.
And he, you know, that just goes to show you that no matter all these things happen, he may cuss and fuss and get mad at us for whatever reasons,
Yeah.
but we're still his family.
We're still
And
around.
and he's our family.
Yeah.
You know, he really is. I can't imagine the streets of Kingsport
Right.
without him.
Well, can I tell them one more? And we're not mentioning
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
But you know, Steve was a big guy. Jimmy is a big guy. And we had another guy working here who was a big guy.
He was even bigger.
But,
Yeah.
so we had,
Big guy.
and if you're watching it, you'll know who it is.
Yeah.
The three of us, the three big guys. Of course, I'm not a big guy.
You're right, we do.
Hey, listen, I got my load to hold on to also. But anyway, he got angry about something and he called back. He said, "I want to speak to that old fat SOB that in there." And Steve said, "There's three fat ones in here. Which one do you want to talk
He said you're
to?"
going to be more specific.
Be
Which
more
one?
specific. So, you know, we just have to kind of laugh at it and go on. That's just part of Shades of Grace. Now, you may not get that kind of entertainment at your church, okay? But that's what happens at ours, right?
It does. It's just another day.
It's just another day at Shades of Grace. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
No.
I could
No.
be. I mean, I could be anywhere, but I'm right where I want to be.
Even when I'm just beat out tired, I'm ready to
Yeah.
come back. I
Yeah.
know you are too.
Always.
It's in the blood.
Yeah.
It's in the blood.
Yeah. We're
Okay.
addicted.
We are. We are.
Yeah.
But Pastor Will, I think that's about it for tonight.
All right.
I'm glad that we got to be with you, at least in a different setting. But next
Yeah.
week we plan, unless anything drastic happens, we plan to be in our new studio set up and ready to go with you
All right.
back to the normal next
Can
week.
we christen it with a bottle of something?
Something.
We'll christen that door. Okay.
Yeah.
I got the very thing sitting in my office.
You do,
I do,
actually. You
yeah.
sure do. That would be perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, don't you wonder what that would be? It's
You-
not doctor enough.
You don't want to know.
Okay, doke, folks. We're so glad you joined us for
Yes.
the world famous Will and
Jimmy Show.
Steve and Terry and all the rest of the guys and girls are not here tonight to tell you goodbye. So this was just us signing off tonight. Be good, be safe
Yes.
until we meet again. And we do hope to see you in worship Saturday morning. Music starts at 10 and worship begins at 10:30. It's going to be good.
Yes,
Come
it
on.
is. Good night.
Bye.